So I'm on a roll today, just done a load of short ones. But we need a bit more time with this. And so anyway, in the United States, there's a couple of issues currently rearing their heads. One is about this supposed Maryland father who's been deported by mistake, actually. And it started off, but in the end, he deserved to go anyway, because despite what the mainstream media want to tell you and what the Democrats are claiming and all the rest of it, the guy is an MS-13 member. That's a violent gang that kills, rapes, murders, everything else. There's all sorts of horrible things. MS-13 have been designated a terrorist organisation, much the same as Hamas or anybody else. And Donald Trump is sticking to his guns, and he's not going to let the guy back. And the funniest exchange the other day, because the El Salvador president was in the White House for a meeting, and CNN were trying to get Trump to say he would send this guy back, go get the guy back and bring him back to Maryland, basically just get deported again because he's obviously a terrorist, so he's not allowed to stay anyway. And they asked the president of El Salvador, well, he's your bloke, he's El Salvadoran, like he's been sent home, you put him in prison. And the guy said, basically, well, yeah, that's where we put all gang members in prison. That's the point. That's why we're one of the safest nations in the world now. And no, I'm not going to smuggle a terrorist into the United States. Who do you think I am, you idiots? Like, how stupid are you? And this is the stupidity of what's going on. We've got the same with the media in this country. They pick the wrong fucking side. The vast majority of people do not agree with terrorism. We don't agree with having terrorists running us around the streets and murdering people and all the rest of it. We don't want that. Funny enough, when my daughter goes to school, the last thing I want to think about is that some donut's going to turn up there with an 18-inch machete and try and chop her flaming head off. I mean, it's just not right. It's not on. Normal people don't need to deal with that sort of thing. We're supposed to be kept safe by our governments. This is what we're supposed to be voting for. The fact we get a vote actually really just puts the nail in the coffin of all the people that go, oh, well, free speech, no, we're going to lock people up for Facebook posts. No, you don't. Because free speech is free speech, is an opinion. I have an opinion that I wouldn't want an MS-13 member running around anywhere, whether it's America, UK or whatever. They shouldn't be running around. When they're found, they should be locked up because they're gang members. They're evil. They lose their rights to go about freely when they take up that lifestyle. It'd be no different if they were mafia. They'd be locked up, wouldn't they? I mean, if they were triads or any other gang, they'd get locked up. We wouldn't put up with it. But apparently, according to the left wing, yeah, we're supposed to forgive them. Every time they do anything, oh no, just forgive them because they're nice people, really. I mean, he's a lovely father. I mean, he used to beat his wife up, and she admitted that, but no, even though he's a horrible bloke, no, we're going to give him another chance because, come on, he's MS-13, it's hardly a worse thing. Isn't it pathetic? Absolutely pathetic. Then you get on to this other guy. There's two college kids in a college in Texas, and they go to different schools, and each school had its own tent at this event, and this fella happened to be a black guy, but it could have been anybody. Decided to go in, whether it's for a joke or whether it's just sort of wind people up or whether it nefarious things in mind. He decided to go into the wrong tent and sit down with an opposing team. This guy, Austin, went over to him, asked him to leave. The guy said, no, I ain't leaving. He said, come on, you got to leave. And apparently something was said along the lines of, put your hands on me and you'll regret it, which is a threat, obviously. What the guy didn't know, this Austin, was that this evil little sod had a knife in his bag. And he basically looks like he wound the situation up, got Austin to put his hands, to kind of encourage him out of his seat. And no punches thrown or anything like that. It wasn't a fight. It was just physically trying to move the guy like you or I might do if we were in a pub and someone was being nasty to our wives. And kid pulled out a knife and stabbed him through the heart. And I mean, is evil. It's not right. So the kids gets locked up, fair enough. But then all of a sudden, he's out on bail. There's all these left-wingers, all these idiots that are playing a race car, pretending it's all about, it's only because he's a black guy that he's getting done. I mean, you'd hope that's not true, because I don't believe it is. I mean, Carl Rittenhouse didn't get away with nothing, did he? And he's a white guy. And he was actually self-defence. I mean, he was getting attacked. He had to shoot the guys that were attacking him because they had guns and they were trying to brain him and kill him. Their intention was to kill him. So, but this guy, you know, he got out. But there's a £500,000 fund being raised on GoFundMe, or a similar site. I don't know if it's GoFundMe. Similar site. They raised 500 grand towards him. His family have popped off, moved into a gated community in a 900 grand house. Now it's supposedly in theirs at the moment. But the kid himself bought himself an Escalade, 140 grand. So he's doing all right, really, as a felon, you know, or a potential felon. I mean, you know, he's doing all right, really. And his claim is it's self-defence. Well, we'll see how the courts decide that, because that's not for me or anybody else to decide. But it certainly just seems there's an awful lot of misinformation, disinformation, and all that sort of rubbish going out and about there. And it's been turned into something that is supposedly racial. But I mean, Austin's, one of his best mates is a black guy who said, no, we don't know anything about that. He's never been racist in front of us. Like, we don't know nothing about him being racist. It was just a case of the guy was in the wrong tent, he was asked to leave. Like he would anybody who was asked to leave. Probably happened to other people that bloody day, I expect. But now all of a sudden it's some sort of massive racist incident. We're all supposed to be, you know, upset and on behalf of this bloody kid who did the killing. Which, I mean, it's just wrong. It's not on. Why would anybody be upset that he's going to go to prison, or he's going to go to trial and probably go to prison? Because it's difficult to see how it's self-defence when you took a knife and you stabbed an unarmed person. I mean, that's not really self-defence, is it? I mean, a bit of fisticuffs would have sorted that out, no problem at all. I mean, it's just getting silly. And it's symptomatic of today, whereas years ago, these things weren't reported in the same sort of way anyway. But everything now is all about division. It's about finding the thing that will divide people that has nothing to do with the actual incident itself, but they just want to make it massive. It's like the George Floyd thing. George Floyd was a criminal, high on drugs, and he actually died as a result of the fentanyl that he swallowed. He had a heart attack. Irrespective of anything else, he died from that. And yet look at the fuss. You had cities burnt down. Cities burnt down. Because a criminal lost the bet he took. He wanted to have a fight with the police. He lost that time. Well, I mean, I probably would as well. And anybody else would as well. If there's 4 coppers out there going to try to arrest you, you're probably not going to fare very well. Simple as that. And I mean, that's your own fault. Nobody cry over me doing it, and nobody should cry over Floyd doing it. And this is what's happening now, is everything's got to be made as though there's an excuse for everything. There isn't an excuse for everything all the time. I'm sorry, but not everything can be excused because of someone's background or their race or their colour or their religion or whatever. Sometimes bad people are just bad people. They really are. If you've got the intention of stabbing someone, I mean, you have the intention of stabbing someone maybe, but if you carry a knife to a school track day, why? Why would you do that? Where's the need for it? Oh, I'm defending myself. Defending against what? You're at a school track day, a sports day. There's nothing to defend yourself against. It's pathetic. These people are out of control. Out of control. And we see it in Britain now on the streets. And the problem that Starmer's got is that there's, whether he thinks it or not, there appears to be a lack of control, a lack of desire to control it from the police. Maybe they are trying as hard as they can. I don't know. But it don't seem like they're trying that hard. Because if you put a post on Facebook with something a little bit disagreeable about a certain group of people, they'll arrest you. They'll put you inside. But if you get caught actually physically committing a crime of a sort involving knives or, you know, sexual crimes, that kind of stuff, all of a sudden there is no prison. Or if there is prison, it's a lot less than you get for a Facebook post. Now, whatever they think, that's not going to be perceived very well, is it? I mean, who would think that's a good thing? We expect violent criminals to be locked up for our own safety. I don't feel threatened by some old granddad who writes a Facebook post saying something disagreeable. It's just his opinion. He's not going to act on it. He's not going to do anything. He doesn't expect anybody else to act on it. It's just his opinion. He's pissed off. So what? It's a public forum, but it's lots and lots of members of the public. They all have different opinions. They're all entitled to their opinions. The ones that agree with it, the ones that don't, all entitled to their opinions. As long as they don't do anything that could be construed as criminal, it's gone bonkers. The whole country's gone bonkers. I mean, the government seems to think it can micromanage everything and make things right by stamping out the law by it. It's a bit like speeding. Speeding in your car. I don't care who you are. 99.999% of people speed in their car at some point. Whether it's for 100 yards or 100 miles. People speed. But they get vilified for it. You know, the cops will turn up for speeding out there. They'll turn up for all sorts of things. And the reason they concentrate on it all, it's an easy nick. They got their cameras out, they got their videos out. People most likely got a cough to the crime before they even start talking. They're going to let themselves in. They're going to admit to the crime. It's easy. You're registered, you've got your name on the car, you've got your insurance, you've got your tax, you've got everything. They can easily find you and do you for that. Drink driving, that don't seem to warrant the same amount of attention. There's no cameras out there trying to catch the drink drivers there, because of course they can't. They can't tell unless you're going to drive like a lunatic. They're not going to catch you on camera. You're going to get away with it. And all right, it's difficult to catch up with, but take the police out of their offices where they're going through Facebook trying to catch Granny Miggins, who's upset that the fella down the road has got 15 kids living in his little council house, and she can't get a blue badge for a disabled car. Stop trying to find her posts. Leave her alone. She's allowed her opinion. So what? You may or may not agree with her. Who cares? She's only venting, probably. She's only venting because she's seen something awful. Southport, horrible situation. It's understandable that people are upset about it. Of course, everybody that heard that story would have been upset. I mean, I didn't hear about it at the time, but you know, if you heard about what happened there, and you were upset about it, well, what's wrong with being upset about it? Aren't we supposed to be? We're all humans. We're allowed to have emotions. The problem comes when if you took those emotions and did something criminal as a result of those emotions. Well, that's wrong. But not many people did. The riots, okay, there was riots. Not exactly the biggest riots in the world, by the way. Nothing like the old BLM were doing across America, burning places down and all the rest of it. There was the odd riot, okay, fair enough. Those people need to be dealt with and sorted out if they did criminal damage and that. I mean, I don't agree with the bloke who got arrested for calling a police dog gay. I think that was a bit over the top somehow. I mean, the dog might have been gay. How does anybody know? Can he stand up at a dock and say, no, I'm categorically not gay. I like other lady dogs. So, sorry, I'm offended. That's just ridiculous. Offences, you take offence, so what? Who cares? I was offended all the time at school about different things. I didn't go round wanting them locked up and have their liberty taken away. I just took the piss back. So what? Who cares? Who gives a shit? We have got to get back to being proud of who we are, being proud of being American, being proud of being British, being proud of our culture. When people come to this country, the prerequisite has to be that they will assimilate into our culture. They will respect our culture. They can do what they like behind closed doors and in their own communities. There's no one's going to, because no one's going to stop them doing anything. Nobody's going to say anything to them doing anything. But there has to be a degree of assimilation. If I move to Saudi Arabia, they have got certain rules that if I'm in an international part of town, I'll be able to get away with. And then there's other parts of town where I would know that if I did something wrong in their culture, I'd expect to get sorted out over it. And so I wouldn't do it because I don't want to be sorted out. I don't want my hands chopped off or, get flogged or whatever, all the stuff that goes on. And in this country, we don't seem to care. We just just let them get on with it. That's all right. They're okay. They run around with machetes. That's part of the culture. They run around with machetes. How ridiculous is that? They can run around with machetes because it's their culture. Well, their culture needs to change, or they can't be here. I mean, it's obvious, isn't it? If you're going to be a criminal, you're not allowed to carry. As far as I'm aware, in Britain, you can carry a knife that's about 3 inches long, about that long, a pen knife. If you got anything bigger than that, you get locked up. I would get locked up. Anybody else would get locked up. But all of a sudden, these zombie knives and all that, nobody seems to bat an eyelid at them anymore, which beggars belief. I mean, it's just crazy. And we've got to be brave in this country and actually stand up for ourselves. And words don't hurt anybody. Not really. You can be a bit offended by words, but so what? No one has a right to not be offended. No one at all. If someone wants to offend me, I get plenty of comments that offend me on this channel. I couldn't care less. It's fine. People got opinions. I'm expressing my opinion on a video. They got their opinion. They want to call me all the names under the sun. It really, so what? They wish them any ill harm. In fact, normally I laugh along with them. They point out some pretty nasty things sometimes. But anyway, so what, innit? So what? We got to get back to a normal country, a normal way of life. Same as in America, they've got to do the same. And people have got to take responsibilities for their own actions. Get on with your own life. Worry about yourselves. Stop worrying about other people. Let them get on with it. If they're right or they're wrong, doesn't matter. They'll eventually pay the piper one way or the other. And that'll be that. And in the meantime, worry about yourself. Get on with your own situation. Who cares? Who cares about the rest? But one final word. We got to get rid of Keir Starmer. He's got to go. There has to be a vote of no confidence, surely. The guy can't make a sentence without lying, without coming out with the absolute different situation to what he said he supported the day before. He hasn't got a clue. And this latest sort of, Supreme Court saying, a biological woman is a biological woman, a biological man is a biological man. And that's the definitions. I've got clients who've transitioned and I get along great with them because it doesn't bother me at all. The fact they want to live their life a different way, that's what they want to do. You've got to respect them. I respect them as people. That's what, they're just people. It doesn't matter what their situation is. But when it comes to, the government, they need to be a bit more sensible. They need to be seen to be protecting women in their spaces and respecting what they do. Women's sports should be women's sports. If there is that much of an uptake of the middle ground, then great, okay, well, let's have a third category. And you go in the third category for your sports and the rest of it, because at least then there'll be some kind of level playing field between people. But men versus women in sports, the vast majority of sports is going to be unfair one way or the other. And it's not fair that women and girls can spend a long time really training very, very hard to be the best at what they do, and then they can be completely usurped by some geezer who decides one day he's probably not the best footballer on the men's team, so I'll tell you what, I'll become a woman and I'll be the best one there. I mean, it's just not on. It's not on. It's not fair. It's not fair. The government needs to make a stand and say, look, treat everybody with respect, but the facts remain this. That's it. Because that's what you're doing, stating fact. There's nothing wrong with stating fact. No one can be offended by you stating fact. It's crazy. The world's gone a bit berserk when you do something about it. Anyway, thanks for listening. I'll see some appropriate comment, no doubt. I'll probably regret it now. Okay, thanks very much for listening. Cheers.